On my recent post on Instagram, I posted a tease of a current painting that I'm working on, but I asked a question: is it really worth spending hours a day for weeks or even months to a year possibly working on an oil painting that in the end it might not even garner the credit it deserves? Well, to me, it is. Because sometimes the little details are everything in life. If you miss them, you might miss everything else. Depth and distance was something I was going for the whole time. And the best way to achieve this is to make the background not as detailed, but also the foreground obviously more detailed. So I spent quite a bit of time doing the snow and trying to up the contrast. As I painted the snow, some of the things that I paid attention to were the little craters left behind from the hooves of the horses. Also the different variations of colors. There were a lot of different colors in the snow, so I used titanium white with a hint of cadmium orange to get those highlights. And then for the shadows, cobalt blue, and in some scenarios a hint of cerulean blue. And some of those purples that you see are actually a mixture made from alizarin crimson and viridian with possibly a tint of cobalt blue. All those variations mesh together to form the snow. Oh, and there's some hints of red as well. I thought details were very important in this painting, so I looked very carefully at everything from the little dead plants to little pebbles, puddles, you name it. And also texture too. I felt like in this scenario, like some actual physical texture would help make the snow look like snow. It is a three-dimensional area, not just a flat plane. My best advice: always treat paintings like sculpture. Instead of actually applying paint, think of carving out details with light and shadow to define them. Never feel ashamed to apply excessive amounts of paint, especially if it's a similar color to a particular area. You could always just spread it around with another brush, but it'll help you in the long term get things done quicker. This little branch is going to be more significant towards the end. Well, I'll tell you more about it later on, probably in another video. In order to do the bush, I had to be very careful by doing little twigs or branches first and then try to attach the leaves. That way it actually made sense that it was an actual plant and not a blob of paint splattered all over the place. That, and you have to factor that certain leaves are more in direct sunlight, so you could see like highlights, and other leaves are in the dark. So by doing a variation at the right place, you get the illusion of volume. And that's what a plant is. It's an actual thing that has volume. It's a 3D thing. It's not a caricature. It's not flat. You have to think of it as a sculpture also. Leaf after leaf, it's not as tedious as it looks. It is time consuming, but if you want an awesome effect in the end of it looking very realistic, that's what you have to go through. And remember, I didn't actually like copy the photo 100%. I used it as a guide. The snow in the front was something I probably painted multiple times. I lost track. I just couldn't get it right. There's some translucent appearance to it, and also the texture of the snow is very prominent in the photo. So I was trying to capture it as best as I could. So I thought by doing a lot of different variations of white and blue, it'll give it that texture. And I also left it on the rougher side so it could stand out more. The grass, just like snow, involves lots of variation, but there's also little puddles of water. And again, some of the grass is in more direct sunlight and some is not, and you have to try to establish the difference to give it more depth. Even though this is very close to the viewing plane and just maybe a few feet in, you still have to establish a sense of depth here. I actually made this bush a little bit bigger than it was represented in the photo because it was in competition with the bigger bush, and I didn't want to leave it that puny looking because it would barely be there if I made it a lot smaller. Again, the snow in the distance is something that I didn't do as detailed, but I made sure I included the blue. That blue was an amazing color that I captured, and I'm happy I was able to photograph it for this painting. It's almost unreal, and it gave the painting in the end a very nice appearance. Oh, and a tiny bush, of course, not as detailed as the one up front, but it helps establish distance. If you could see here, this is the early stages of the trees in the distance that have a little horse hidden. I made a comment on one of my posts somewhere in Facebook, how many horses can you spot? And this was one of the more elusive ones. Kudos to whoever said the correct number. Can you guess how many horses are in my painting? Well, it would ruin the fun if I told you the answer, but here's a hint. That's one right there. If you made it to the end, thank you again for watching. Once again, my name is Charalambos. I go by Bob. I am not your typical painter. I have currently been working on a new painting and I'm almost finished actually, but I'm not going to show the videos until I'm either on vacation or after. So stay tuned for my new painting, and it's actually different from the previous ones I've been working on. Once again, thanks for watching.